Hi, and welcome to my first ever long-form video. I'm Viri, and today I'll be drawing slash redesigning characters from one of my favorite animated shows from when I was a kid. So here's how it started. As per usual, I was scrolling through Netflix at 9:30 p.m. before going to bed, and I found it on my watch list. Wakfu. Now, for those of you who don't know what Wakfu is, it's a French animated TV show and MRPG that debuted in the US in the 2010s, and it's about a kid with teleportation powers along with the people he convinced into being his friends as they find their way across kingdoms to beat up a time robot. Now, I restarted the show after being unable to finish it at the age of 8 to 9 because the final season on Netflix was significantly more serious than the previous two. I made it about halfway through season 3 before deciding it had lost the original charm and moved on. But as a teenager, I decided I would give it another try, since I've always found the art style endearing and am honestly emotionally attached to the characters. Disclaimer! Since I'm not French, I cannot stream season 4, but it is supposedly on YouTube. So, anyway, what I'm saying is, take my opinions and perspectives with a grain of salt, since I'm honestly still looking at it while filling in a lot of blanks, because I haven't watched the entire thing in about 8 years. Our main character, Hugo, is the last iliotrope in the world, and he's searching for his family, as well as trying to save the world from an evil robot guy who's stealing people's souls to turn back time. Overall, he's just this sweet, little, hyperactive, curious character, and also it's valuable to mention that he is 12 years old in Season 1, but I believe that he's the strongest character mentally since he goes from being this normal baker's kid to a hero in such a short amount of time. He overcomes about every obstacle in his path, including finding his family, in order to seek help in training his abilities. And in many moments, he's just this sassy, heartfelt kid, but in others, he acts more grown than even the oldest character in the lineup. The first person Hugo meets is Rule, the Scrooge McDuck of the group. While on the outside, Rule seems heartless and money-driven, we often see moments of genuine care for his teammates. This is especially obvious when the group is separated from Hugo while he trains his powers, and Rule actively forgets that Hugo isn't with them anymore and tries to make comments to him, only to be reminded of his absence. He's also given the chance to escape and leave the group in the dust, but decides not to each time. His fatherly or uncle-like connection to Hugo was actively fostered because Rule was his dad's closest friend, and was there when Grugaloragran the dragon gave Hugo to his dad. Rule's bag, with its own pocket dimension, also comes in handy when they end up in some unfortunate places. The next characters we meet are Amalia and Evangeline, or Ava. Amalia is the stereotypical pretty princess. She's a bit stuck up, seemingly the weakest of the group, and is self-centered. She's often complaining in the first half of Season 1, but mellows out to become an equal character. As the show progresses, her personality seems to relax into a supportive friend to Eva and a partner to Hugo, as she finds more comfort and acceptance of her place on the team. She also shows far more leadership, even when facing doubt from her family about her choices, in just the end of Season 1, even going as far as to use more of her abilities than she believed possible in order to help her team. Her plant powers make her a very valuable asset when she wants to be, which becomes more and more often in many later episodes. I was honestly glad to see this, since she's a very powerful character and is definitely one of my favorites. And it's hard to hate her attitude, because when you remember that she's only 13 in the first season, you kind of put it into perspective that she's just not emotionally developed enough to be as self-aware as we wish she could be. But luckily, she gets there in later episodes. She also has this creepy doll that I had to redesign because I don't need it haunting my nightmares for the rest of time. And I actually don't remember a lot about the doll's lore, but in my interpretation, from what I've gathered, the Sedita people earn them when they become of age, and they're given them out of the leaves of the Tree of Life that they protect. And with their connection to the tree, the dolls are meant to protect them as well. And they echo the state if they're ill, which is shown in an early episode of Season 1 when Amalia accidentally gets poisoned. Filling in the blanks, this seems to be the general idea of how they got them, but it's not really elaborated on, especially in the first season. Meanwhile, Ava, on the other hand, begins to show as the less feminine warrior type character, since she's the best friend of the princess, and she sees herself as the opposite of everything Amalia is, which is pretty feminine and quote unquote weak. This makes her more uncomfortable with presenting herself as distinctly feminine, and it's quite clear in a handful of the early episodes. But as time goes on, she gets to become equal to Amalia rather than a lesser, which honestly is very clear in her change of design every season. It gets a little bit more feminine each time. Like she lets her hair down, etc. But she also ends up with a stable love interest and has kids that are a major plot point in the third season. Overall, she might not be my favorite character, but she does have really strong development. And the last thing I felt I had to know about her was her weapon. She uses a bow that creates arrows that look like they're made out of just light, and it was given to her by Amalia's father. And to her people, it's a sacred thing to be given a weapon, and when one of the characters breaks it, it's very shameful and leaves her without a purpose. Now, the last character of the main group is Percidal, also known as Dally or Tristapin in the French sub. Dally is, all in all, a himbo. He's rough around the edges and a little bit dumb, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he still has a lot of strength and a lot of heart. He starts out as a character with a demonic talking sword named Rubelax, who kind of magical girl transforms into the literal Hulk, and as his tale unfolds, emphasized by his own shame and regret for destroying his relationship with Ava, he discovers what it means to really be a hero. His courage and absolute stupidity not to run away from a fight despite getting his ass beat over and over and over again lead him to become one of the stronger characters among the group. In my opinion, he's the character with the most growth in one season, because he does something really hard and comes back to the group after he messes up to help save them and earn forgiveness. He also ends up with Ava, who he has 3 kids with. Now, the last character I will be drawing is Adamai, Hugo's twin brother, the dragon. Dragons are able to shapeshift, as well as use incantations and teleportation, which is why I wondered, why in the world does he look like that? I genuinely mean no insult to the designers of the series, since they're amazing at making unique and detailed character designs, as well as the animators for being able to animate this absolute masterpiece of cinema. But it's simply, in my opinion, that he scares the ever-loving hell out of me. Anyway, for my final character of mention, we have our villain, whose name is Noxus, or Nox, and his goal is to steal enough Wakfu, which is magical energy, to fully power the Heliotrope cube, which allows beings to channel the power of God. Through his search and capture of the cube, he becomes less and less human over time in order to withstand its power, which spurs his journey to turn back time to fix everything that's happened to him. He admittedly doesn't care what will happen to the rest of the world if he fails or if he succeeds, making him an intense and somewhat heartless villain. But occasionally he does save people, even if it's only so that someone knows what his end goal is. Now, in terms of the fandom, I have shipped Yugo and Amalia since I was 8 years old, and I was absolutely thrilled to find out that they were actually canon when I did my backup research while writing the script. And similarly, I forgot how cute Ava and Dally were when I continued my rewatch of the series. They're absolute girl boss and male wife energy, and oh my god, it's adorable. But I haven't really been an active member of the fandom as much as I would have liked, because I'm just now learning that there is one, and I haven't seen nearly enough Wakfu fan art, so I wanted to try to do some of my own. If you're in the fandom and know any good artists, drop their YouTube below, because I need it in my absolute heart and soul. And also, literally check out any 2010s foreign cartoons. I'll probably be doing more of these in the future, but anyway. But now I've decided, with my own free will, to lock in and actually finish the entire series, even if it means watching the last season on YouTube and in French, which my 2 years of taking French will not come in handy for. Also, I had to mention that the Wakfu artists are so good at anatomy, like stylized anatomy. It's one of the greatest shows in terms of design that I've seen in a really long time, and everyone should definitely go watch it. But in terms of build for each character, I wanted to make the differences in their height and body type more noticeable. I made Eva a bit thinner and more athletic looking, and I emphasized the weight on Amalia, since she would have been more well fed than everyone else because she was, the richest one. And for the boys, I kind of kept them similar to their original designs because it's more in character for Hugo and Dally to appear lanky, and Rule is an old man. So I love most aspects of the design, of the original designs, except that I loved Ava's season 1 updo. And I liked that her first season outfit was much more detailed, so I tried to add a little more details for mine. Like, I loved her belt, her gloves, and her hair clip. And for Amalia, I did very similar. I left her hair up. I want to do a bit more coverage for her outfit since she's younger in the earlier seasons. And her canon design has these really cool horns in season 4, and I wanted to do like the little horn stubbies for her. And I left the boys pretty much the same because there wasn't really much to do except combine aspects and details. And for Hugo, I incorporated the symbols on his cape from season 4, as well as the button collar from season 1. And I did a slight redesign on Dally's sword Rubelax because he looks really kawaii and silly in the show. And I thought it would be more ironic for Dally to have a big weapon that he had to live up to. And I literally changed my entire way of going about reference sheets to feel like I was doing some semblance of justice to the original art style. And I specifically did it with the eyes. I kept the shadow beneath the irises. I made the line art thinner, and the shading of the noses was about the same. I added my shading first instead of doing it last, and I cannot express how much I adore these character designs. I love my drawing of Dally. He's literally so cute. He might actually be my favorite now. And I will admit, they've all grown on me after this. Like, just having to put in so much detail that I know the actual designers had to do, it makes it so much more worth it to watch the show. They're amazing. Definitely watch it if you have the chance. And that is all. So, bye everyone. See you next time.